Welcome back, folks, to another episode of Business from the Bass Boat Podcast on the Serious Angler Network. And today, folks, we've got an awesome show lined up. We are going to break down, as Bailey and I have discussed this a couple of times, both off air and on air. It's like, how do we figure out what? There's just so many changes in bass fishing and in professional bass fishing right now. It's hard to track how everything works. And so the goal of today's show is to try and break down the opens in 2025, the format, how it's all supposed to work. And I thought it would be great to get someone on who has been fishing the opens full time for the last 2 years and is someone who flies under the radar, in my opinion, in a lot of ways. He's a good buddy of mine from Colorado, Mr. Ty Faber, but is a guy that almost was in a really good position to start this year and halfway through the season, probably 3/4 of the way through the season, and was sitting right in that position. One of the guys from the West with the chance at the Elite Series. Couldn't quite make it happen, but let's chat with him a little bit here and just bring him in. What's up, Ty?
Adam, how's it going?
Good, man. First of all, you gotta show us the background. I see the truck topper set up. What do we got here? Wow.
That's a pretty sweet new topper I got for fishing this coming year and hunting trips too. But it's an AT Overland Atlas is what they call it. So
Okay.
that whole top section will pop up and creates a bed space for you. It's got windows up there. It's got some insulation. It's got a built-in fan. It's pretty fancy.
Wow. No, that's awesome, man. For as much time as you spend on the road chasing critters, both of the fish species and the hunting species, it's got to be awesome to have a lightweight rig like that. We talk a bunch off air, and you picked up the same motor anyway, the same truck that I have from that perspective. How's that been for you? The little baby dirt bike?
It's really nice, man. I mean, from the topper, being able to pop that thing up, basically before I was just in a Tundra with a like cab height topper on it, and basically I just crawled in there and laid down and went to sleep. I couldn't even sit up in that thing, so that's been really nice. And the baby diesel's been treating me pretty well. It gets pretty good gas mileage.
It does, man. Yeah. It's not quite the guns by any means, guns blazing of a big diesel and all of that, but man, fuel economy wise, it's pretty hard to beat it.
It's a really nice truck for sure.
Yeah. Well, dude, where are you in the world now? Got the boat in the background, the truck in the background. Give us a little background on where you're at. We're late October here in 2024.
I am at Wheeler Lake. It goes off limits tomorrow for the Toyota Series Championship. I came down to pre-practice for a few days. Didn't have any plumbing work to do and didn't have any buddies with any hunting tags, so I decided I'd come down here and try to figure out some of these fish.
How'd it go?
Uh, you know, yesterday was pretty tough. I caught a few nice fish, not very many. I caught a few more fish today and a few nice ones. So hopefully we figured something out, but I imagine they will definitely be changing and on the move by the time the tournament rolls around.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, Wheeler Lake, interesting body of water. Gosh, really neat that it's got all three species in it. You've got current, all kinds of crazy things going on. How many Toyota Series championships have you fished? I feel like I think I was telling you this. It's like every Toyota Series championship in the fall, I look over and Ty's like leading it day one or something. He's just
I don't know about everyone. I've got my teeth kicked in plenty, but I think this is my 4th championship.
Dang. Well, good for you. And glad to see that you are always kind of fishing a lot of different things on the national scale, especially these last couple of years. And Bassmaster Opens 2024. I mean, give us a little bit of a background on your season. Give us a little bit of your take on chasing this stuff full time from being where you're at and where you're from, and then we can kind of get into 2025.
Man, I feel really lucky that I get to do what I get to do and do as much of it as I get to. I get to drive a lot. I get to travel a lot. The 2024 season was awesome. Had a great time. You know, had some good finishes, had some pretty bad finishes, but had a good time doing it. Bass does a great job with the opens. Hank and all the guys there, they really do a good job, and they really work hard for us, and do the best they can to try to please everybody, which when it comes to bass fishermen is pretty tough to do, I think.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. That's exactly right. It's I don't know. I think you've coined the term bass holes because there's a bunch of them out there all
Yes,
across.
there are.
Doesn't matter what club you're in or whatever it may be. It's just, oh, we got a bunch of bass holes and there's
Yeah.
drama.
Everybody seems to be pretty selfish. What does this schedule do for me? What does this rule change do for me? That's kind of how everybody seems to look at it, I think.
Right, right. That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about it that way, but it's so true. I mean, so Colorado, live in Southwest Colorado, and you said plumber, but like how are you able to do this at the level that you do this? I don't think I always mention your name, but this show is Business from the Bass Boat. Talk a lot about the business side and the financial side of fishing. And guys I emulate or guys that I'm like, man, I would love to get to that point are guys like yourself where you're able to take off, man, and go do what you want to do. But talk a little bit about that for the folks at home.
Man, I've been real lucky. I mean, I college didn't really work out for me. Had some good times. Didn't really learn a lot. Didn't get a degree or anything that way. But came back home, and my uncle built houses I grew up working for him, and told him I needed a job. And basically, he said, you can come work for me anytime, but my plumber's looking for somebody if you want to give that a shot. So I worked for a guy named Dale for a little over 4 years. Great guy. Taught me all kinds of stuff about plumbing and life. Um, and basically, that was about when the recession hit in 2008. So he didn't need to work and wasn't going to work for nothing. So I had to go find a job in Texas. So I moved back to East Texas. And was there for, I don't know, 3.5 years. Worked for a great company down there, and um, learned a whole lot about industrial and commercial plumbing stuff we don't have a whole lot of from the little town that I live in. And basically got my master's license in 2011, and was talking to my uncle, and he said, when you moving back? And I told him, I'm not moving back. You're crazy. I got a good job, lots of work. And he said, well, you can have all the houses that I got going on right now, which was four, which I think was about half of the building permits in the county that year. So I packed all my stuff, moved back home, and did those four houses for him, and he hasn't built another one since.
Wow. Wow.
So I really had to go out there and hustle and kind of get my own work. And I mean, I've worked very hard in my life, but I've been very fortunate too with just a lot of things that have gone my way. And basically, I got a small plumbing company and some great employees. And I've got one really great employee named Amy, and she basically runs everything for me. She's pretty wonderful, man. I don't know what I would do without her. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. That's incredible, man. And not to say you're still working on the road, answering phone calls, doing quotes, all that kind of stuff, but you've put yourself in the position to be able to go chase this, right? To chase your dream and chase the bass fishing thing.
Yeah, man. Like I would have never dreamed that I would get to do as much fishing, or hunting or screwing around as I get to. It's pretty cool. I feel very blessed.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, man, changes in Bassmaster Opens 2025. I've got the article pulled up. I've got some notes written down just because I'm trying to track all this stuff. It just
You
seems
and me
like,
both.
yeah, like I mean, between this is just a rant for sure. Like in professional bass fishing right now, whether it be the opens or the MLF or whatever it is, it's just like all these different formats and trying to understand it. It's like you need to spend some serious time. Like I took an hour and just like broke it all down because I was like, I don't understand how this all works. And I kind of got to know because I cover this stuff. And I think
Right?
I've finally figured it out, but I wanted to get someone like yourself on who's planning on fishing some of it and get your take on everything. But what is your initial take when it came out? And first of all, did you know on the front end, did they let Bassmaster Opens anglers know throughout the year, like, hey, stuff's going to be different next year? Like, what did that look like?
I mean, nothing official, but just talking to other anglers, there was rumblings of this is what it's going to be or that's what it's going to be, and it was kind of some of the rumblings were correct for sure. Um, I don't know if I'm the best guy to help you try to figure this stuff out, even though I probably should know a little more about it, but I'm happy to dive into it with you and see where it takes us.
I like it. I like it. So the whole thing right? The Opens went from being different divisions, and the thought process was, let's combine this to make it an elite kind of event series where it's 9 events, and that's going to give us the best anglers, which I think is proven, right? Like we've seen that be really successful as far as the guys that make
No
it.
doubt, it's proven. Those 18 anglers are hammers. They will kick your teeth in anywhere, anytime. Unbelievable how well those guys fish.
It's incredible, right? Like they just went straight into the elite series and were very high level immediately, which has never been the case before. And there's a lot of like things here, technology and all these different arguments that go along with that. But the matter of the fact is, it has created some incredible anglers. And the thought process from going from the other divisions was like, well, you have a guy that's maybe really good on river systems and he wins on all this, Arkansas River and the local rivers in Oklahoma. And then he goes to the Elite Series and gets his teeth kicked in. And now he's out 2 years of a career and back into working life or whatever that may
Sure.
be.
Yeah.
And so you kind of saw that split up. And then it was everybody. But then Bass is like, hey, what if we go back to 2 divisions, but then kind of have these EQs at the end of the year? So it's really creating like this. You could fish all 8, you could fish 4 on one side of the country or the other. And then if you finish high enough, you kind of go into the EQs, which are then in the fall. And then also guys from previous Elite Series or from the Elite Series can fish those. So it's kind of just this like try and break it all down. But I don't know. The best way to probably do it is to start with like what the schedule looks like and that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to Bass. The deal with the all 9, that obviously worked. And I think what Bass is trying to do is they're trying to please everybody, because I think there's a lot of guys who feel like they can't take the time off to go fish all 9. So instead of doing all 9 or, a 3 tournament division, they went to 2 divisions of 4 tournaments. I think they're trying to make it as good as they can for everybody. With that being said, I, I don't like it changing all the time, but I understand, where they're coming from with all that. But yeah, the schedules, I mean, they look pretty good. There's some that I've been to on there, and there's some that I haven't. It should be interesting for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And so how does it work from getting signed up and that perspective? Now you kind of have the options of fishing the east side of the country, Division 1, which is Clarks Hill, uh, Tom Bigby River, Upper Chesapeake, and then the St. Lawrence, right? And then you've got Division 2, which is Rayburn, Kentucky Lake, Norfolk, and then Leech Lake, kind of more of the central part of the country, if you will. Um, and then it kind of goes into the future there. But do you have to make that decision on whether you're going to fish all 8 or 4 of them, or what does that look like on your end right now?
Yeah, I think you got to decide by the sign up date if you're going to do, one division or the other or both.
Okay.
That's got to be made. As far as for me, obviously the Central is a whole lot closer to my house. I've spent more time on those lakes than the others in Division 1. I would love to do all 8, but I got a odd hunt the end of January, which would be when Clarks Hill is. So I don't know if I'm willing to miss that to go to Clarks Hill or not.
I get that. And so this is Audad tag, New Mexico. Did you draw it? Was it a long,
Yeah,
hard tag to
drew it
draw?
drew it through the state. I think it's a decent tag. I don't think it's a great tag, but I've never killed one before, and really looking forward to going and doing that.
Heck yeah, dude. Is that archery or rifle?
Rifle, thank goodness.
Thank goodness. We've seen some experiences with you with a bow, and you go rock climbing or whatever the heck.
Should be a little flatter, hopefully, than that one.
Man, wild. Wild. Well, that's good to hear. And I think there's going to be a lot of that. I could be wrong here in thinking that guys are going to fish all 8, which there will be guys that do it, but I think you're going to see guys kind of split on this. That's just my take initially, because if the goal is to make it to that final EQ thing at the end, and that's 3 more tournaments. So really you're already looking at 7 tournaments through the season, right? If you make it there, it kind of keeps you in a division, number one, like in your area, and number two, if you're a guy that's working a job or you're a guy that's fishing the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit or the NPFL or whatever else may be, it's kind of feasible to swing four maybe in there if you can do
Sure.
it, right?
Which is really cool of bass, that gives more guys more opportunities to do it. I do wish they would have done something for if you did fish all eight. I don't know what that would look like, but
Bonus to some degree, other than just a
yeah,
chance
I
class.
mean, maybe throw a bone to some guys who come fish all eight of them for you. I don't know.
That's not a bad thought. Yeah, like some sort of incentive. Because at the end of the day, like from a monetary standpoint, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to, I mean, okay. It doesn't matter from a financial perspective to Bass if who is fishing every tournament. The goal is to get as many entrants as possible, right? If you can fill the field,
Yeah,
225 or whatever it is, at the end of the day, those numbers do better than if you have 100 guys that fish all of them, right? Um,
absolutely.
so it makes sense to me in a lot of ways, and I don't hate it. Like my initial thought was like, "Gosh, we're changing things again." We've seen how successful it was, but like overall, when I first saw this, it gave some hesitancy, but I think it makes sense. It kind of fills a middle ground, and I think you're going to have a big show out of kind of your middle part of the country, Midwest guys. Like that's a sweet schedule. I don't know, man. All those places that you're looking at fishing, that's a really neat schedule, and all fairly centralized in the middle part of the country from north to south, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I would think more of the EQ guys who have been doing all nine would be more likely to sign up for that Division 2 than the Division 1, just because of the schedule.
What? Why is that?
I just think it's more classic fisheries. I mean, you got Rayburn on there. Leech was awesome last year. Kentucky Lake is not what it used to be, but obviously it's coming back and doing a lot better. Who doesn't like fishing at Ozark Lake? I think it's a more attractive schedule than the Division 1. But if you are on the East Coast, I mean, you probably like that just as well.
Right, right. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, Division Two is just exactly what you said, like classic fisheries. I mean, you've got your big Texas place, you've got smallmouth Kentucky Lake. I mean, Ozarks are just all those lakes are so cool. And then you got Leech Lake, which was a awesome lake to watch and cover and all that. And you spent some time up there, like neat
Yeah,
part of the
great
world.
fishing up there. Unbelievable.
That's great. When do you know when there will let the schedule out for the EQs? Is that like, is it going to be a surprise?
I don't know that. I wish I did. I mean, that's one thing I wish, that they would have announced it at the same time, just, selfishly for somebody like me with, planning hunts and other tournaments and stuff like that next year. It would be really nice to know when not even necessarily where they are, but like this week in September, this week in October, this week in November.
Mm,
I think that would help a lot of people out.
yeah. I mean, we've talked off air about the BAM tour, right? You kind of got to make that decision on things of like, I want to fish the BAM
Right.
because you're a Western guy and can kind of split both ways. But there's a lot of fall events for the BAM tour. And it's like if you
Yeah,
make
there
these
could be
EQs,
some potential conflicts for sure, and it's sure nice to at least know going into it if you're going to sign up for those that, hey, I'm gonna miss a tournament or lose some money here, but I'm still willing to do it, versus I don't know what's going to happen.
right, right. Yeah, that makes it tough. So 50 from each division make it to the EQs. Um, keep in mind, still every one of these, all of the opens as well as the EQs, everyone has a chance to make the classic if you're the winner in that event.
Right.
So that's kind of cool. So there's two extra classic spots up for grabs than there was previously.
And
So it's
where did they just create two more spots, or did they take them from somewhere else? You know how that came about?
I don't know. I just in the article it basically says this two other spots. So I don't know if they created two more spots. So then they have what 53 guys or whatever that number is,
Right.
or if they're taking that from the elites. I have no idea, but that's a good question. Um, so they've added a couple spots to there, and then they've added one additional spot to the Bassmaster Elite qualification. So previously it's 9 guys from the opens, minus double qualifiers. Now it's 10 from the EQs at the end of the season, which again, that's will be made up of 100 guys in the opens field plus guys in the elites field. And that's like the question mark that I have with all of this is like, how many of those guys are going to fish it? How does that work
I
from
think
like,
I think a lot of people have that question. Like, how many guys are going to drop down and fish those last three? What's that going to look like?
Yeah, because is that, and the way I understand it, right? If you are on a situation where you are potentially going to get nixed from the Elite Series and get cut, this is kind of your chance to requalify, right?
Yeah.
If you're on the
So
bad season.
whoever gets cut, I think it's August or September, whenever the Elite Series is over. The way I understand it, whoever those guys at the bottom get cut, they can come fish the EQs and try to requalify right
Yeah,
away.
yeah, super interesting. Okay, and no co-anglers in the EQs. What is your take there on the regular season versus the EQs with the no co-angler?
Um, I guess I don't really mind it either way. We've all had, terrible co's and we've all had great co's. I think it's a good deal for the EQs for sure. Um, I guess I don't really mind either way.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it kind of makes sense to me, I guess, on this last little bit here in the run for these guys. I mean, the other thing that's interesting is the entry fee change, right? So in the regular open season, it's staying the same or close to the same anyway at $2,000, per event on the pro side. But on those last three EQs, it's 3,500 a person. Hopefully, I would presume that's reflected in the payout as going up in those tournaments. But that
I would
kind of
I would hope so too. I haven't seen anything on the payout on that. Have you?
uh-uh, uh-uh.
Yeah.
I would assume that that's what it is. They're kind of making it this middle ground. I mean, that's kind of right in the middle between Elite Series entry fees and Opens entry fees, as kind
Right.
of stuff goes. So
Yeah, and Bass did a good job. They raised the entries last year, but the payouts went to 45, I think, and it was a good check when you got one. They did a good job with that, I thought.
yeah, yeah, no. The other two interesting things here, and this kind of goes back to the more changes, right? We saw big changes in the Bassmaster Nation stuff, going to bigger tournaments, that kind of a thing. The two guys, if I recall here, I'm pulling back up the article, two guys that, so if you take first in all of that, that's where you qualify for the classic. I believe, qualify for the elites, like all of that kind of stuff. But the
Right.
guys who finished second and third in that, you can also fish this EQ um, end of the season stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm really curious to see what this field's made up of. Like, is it going to be 120 guys? Is it going to be 150 guys?
I
Like,
don't
I have no
I don't
idea.
think anybody knows. I don't even think Bass knows.
Yeah, they're kind of just seeing what happens with it.
Yeah.
I love it. Now, one thought with all of this, and this is something like Matt Pangrack will talk about a decent amount, is like with when he especially was covering a lot of these tournaments prior to live and all of this, like his entire time was spent following Elite Series and all that stuff. So his fishing time, and a lot of us have team championships in the fall and the Toyota Series championship in the fall. And selfishly, you and I both can't stand fall tournaments because that's when I would like to be hunting instead.
Yeah, I think we should just, call it good in August and start over in the calendar year. Maybe
Yeah.
February.
Ty's number one goal is to make the Elite Series just so he doesn't have to fish in the fall. Like,
Yeah, that'd
just,
be okay with me.
like give me done in August and we can front load it, whatever you need, but give me the fall off. Like, gosh,
That's right. The fall was made for hunting.
the fall was made for hunting, man. I love it. But I guess the question that I'm asking is, do you fear that maybe, I don't know, maybe this is the wrong way to look at it because there's four other tournaments, but are you just going to get guys that are really good in the fall that are maybe not prepared for the rest of the season? Or is that even not a point at this point? You know what I
I
mean? If
mean,
they're
they
just
still got to
really good,
catch them to get there. I don't, if it's anything like the 9 tournaments altogether, it don't matter, dude.
they'll be fine.
Those guys will beat the brakes off of you whatever month you want to go fish.
Doesn't matter. They'll beat you.
If it's anything like that at all,
Yeah.
they'll
Yeah.
catch them.
It's insane, dude. It is, the level of competition is absolutely absurd in the
It
opens.
is.
It's
They're them guys are incredible. I mean, they catch them every single tournament.
Oh, it's nuts, dude. Nuts, nuts. Well, good for you for being out there and doing it, because you were right there, dude. Most of this year, you hung around that top 10. You were in the top 10 at some degree, and it's been cool to follow you and watch you move along with things.
Well, thanks, man. It was a lot of fun, and like I said, I feel really lucky that I just get out here and do it as much as I do. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Humble dude. I'm trying to think if there's anything else here from a coverage standpoint that we're missing. So 10 guys. So the other question I have would be, if there's 10 guys on that qualify for the elites, are they then pulling 10 out, or, are they taking one more spot away? Like, how does that work too?
I don't know that. I mean, I don't know if, they're just making one more spot in the Elite Series for that, or if they're kicking one more guy out, or what. Should have called Hank.
Should have called Hank, man. The other thought here is, if all you see a lot of guys, and I guess this is a difference in mentality, but there's some Elite Series guys that just that fish a lot of opens. Like Polinick used to do this a lot. There's a couple Japanese guys that just fish a ton of the opens, right? And the Elite Series.
Yeah.
But will you see less Elite Series guys fishing the opens because they don't have to qualify for the EQs? And then if they need to fish the EQs, they'll just fish them at the end of the season. You see what I'm saying?
I don't know that. I think probably the same guys like Kenta, I would imagine he still fishes all of them because that's just what he does. He's a machine. Like Fighter got in the Northerns this last year. I would think, there might be some guys that look at the schedule and go, I like those lakes, let's take a shot and try to get to the Classic right away, and then we just go have fun on the Elite Series. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a good point. Or like, it just depends on how the schedules line up, right? So if the schedules are decent and you're going to be nearby the
Right.
St. Lawrence River when you're up there, you may as well try and make that schedule work and fish 4
Right.
times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what's the feasibility, do you feel like, from a travel perspective, of a guy that is interested in fishing all 8, with the schedule kind of going, far east to central part of the country back? And I mean, this last year was a crazy travel schedule for you guys in
It was
2025.
crazy. It was madness. Trying to figure all that out, and where you're going to leave a truck and boat here and fly back home and work for a week or two and then fly back out and drive here. It was a lot. It was a lot of fun too.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to fish all over the country.
All over.
What was your favorite lake in 2025 that you got to go to?
Oh man, it was my first time to Okeechobee. That one was really cool. I had a good finish at Eufaula. I really dislike that place a lot, but it's got some nice fish in it. I would say St. Clair or Leech. I mean, pre-practice at Leech was awesome.
Really?
And apparently the lakes around Leech are even better. I never got to go to any of them, but yeah, it was pretty cool.
Special place.
Yeah, for sure.
Those northern fisheries are just absurd to me. From the Northwest to the Northeast and the Midwest, all of it. Like, I'm a South fisheries hater right now, and it's a problem. I shouldn't be that way. These northern fisheries are just absurd, dude.
They're really cool, man. I mean, like where you're at, up there, we were talking to our buddy Brian earlier this week. I mean, he caught 2 6-pound smallmouth in one day. That's just craziness.
Right. Yeah. Broke his PB. And we got to bring this up just because of the topic at hand related to live scope. But he was fishing out his 2 biggest bags of smallmouth now, and his 2 PBs have both come out of his dad's boat when his boat was having issues without forward-facing sonar. And
Oh,
that
come on,
blows me.
man. That's not true. That's a lie, Adam. You can't catch them without live scope.
It's not even possible. What do you mean? Yeah. You have to look at him to catch him. Everyone knows that. Blew me away, though.
Yeah, I mean, Brian's been catching some awesome fish up there for sure. It's a special place. I wish Bass would head out there a little further west, maybe.
Me too, dude. Me too. I don't see it happen anytime soon, but I sure would love that.
It'd be awesome.
So, sounds like you're set on fishing the 4 in the central part of the country. So the Division 2 of the bass.
Mhm.
Now, what does the rest of your 2025 look like? You're going to try and fish some Toyota series. What is Ty
Yeah,
Faber's
would
thing?
love to fish some Toyota series. They're great tournaments. There's great competition in them. It's a good deal, good payouts, and you get the championship. So I would like to squeeze in at least enough to try to make it to the championship. I don't know if I'll get a full, like 3 tournament division. I might have to try to make it through the wild card or whatever, but would love to do that for sure. And then still thinking on the BAM, and depending on what Amy says, I might even try to fish the tackle warehouse. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, I didn't think about that. And with those, can you fish? Because you hopped into one of those last year, didn't you?
I fished one last year, yeah, because they didn't fill. I think it was like 155 guys they were trying to get to fish, and they didn't fill every tournament up with all the same anglers.
Mhm.
But I imagine with them having a championship this year that probably fills up. I bet nobody gets a chance to do that.
Right. That's the change there. Is the
Yeah,
championship.
right.
Have you looked at that schedule much? I haven't even paid attention
It's
to
a
it.
it's a good schedule, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a bad one at all. I'd love to do all of it, but I gotta go work a little bit, I guess.
Gotta go do a little bit of work, Ty. Unbelievable.
I don't make enough money fishing to not. So
Supplemental income for fishing.
right.
That's what it's about.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. Well, that's good to hear, dude. And I think we'll kind of wrap things up here. But glad to hear that you're going to be giving it another shot in the opens. I like that division for you. You've done very well on Rayburn. I think the Ozark stuff for you is money. Been to Leech now, and I think, man, Kentucky Lake with how it has changed into a smallmouth fishery. I don't know. Anyone that I've talked to that has been there has been super impressed with it. Have you been there since it's been like? Because you won a boat on that lake way back in the day, didn't you?
Yeah, back before all those carp got in there.
Okay.
And I mean, yes, we won a boat, but we made a couple good decisions during a tournament and got lucky, and it was awesome. But I think it's much different than it was back then. I mean, we weighed all largemouth that tournament. Actually, I did weigh one smallmouth. I forgot about that. Um,
Some
but
big.
yeah, it sounds like the smallmouth are thriving down there, and they're getting pretty dang nice too, from what I've heard. I haven't been on it, but
Okay.
I would love to go back. It's a cool lake, man.
It really is. And I got to fish it right there in its heyday, right as it was tailoring down. I was in high school and fished on a Costa series as a co-angler, and then we fished a college championship and a high school championship there. But that was a special place, man. I had never ledge
It's
fished or done any of
Oh
that before
man,
in my life.
it's giant. I mean, and it used to be just chock full of them, but hopefully with those smallmouth coming back, and I think the largemouth are coming back some too. Just the smallmouth are definitely more prevalent from what I hear.
Yeah. Yeah. No. That's gonna be sweet, man. Well, dude, thanks for taking the time out. I know you're done pre-practicing, got a little break, and then back at it on Wheeler Lake for the Toyota Series Championship, chasing down what 235 grand in that one. Uh,
Yeah, that'd be all right.
that would work for somebody. So glad to hear you're doing well. Any other hunting plans this fall as you kind of wind down, hopefully fishing wise, or not hopefully, but so you can go hunt a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I get to hunt with some of my buddies in Texas, maybe Oklahoma. I'm gonna go see my sister and Wisconsin. See if we can't run into a deer up there, maybe. And then I've got a 4th season elk tag in Colorado, so I'll be freezing my ass off trying to find one of those late season bulls. It should be a good time.
Heck yeah, man. Love it. I love it. Well, way to still get some hunts in, even though fishing has been taking up some of your fall time these last couple of years. I'm impressed with you being able to figure that all out. Need to get on Ty's schedule.
Yeah, I don't know. Just got to keep going, man. Don't stop.
I love it. I love it. All right, buddy. Well, Ty, take it easy, dude, and we'll catch you down the road.
Thanks, Adam.
See ya.